The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, hey everybody, welcome to our webinar for creating and animating a scene in iClone. So we're going to be spending most of this webinar actually just doing a live demo. I'm not going to be having a PowerPoint introduction or anything like that because we don't need, nobody got time for those PowerPoints. So good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I'm going to be taking you through the process of creating a scene from scratch in this webinar. Now, if you have any questions or feedback, make sure you put them in the questions panel in your GoToWebinar panel there, and we'll answer those at the end of the webinar. So basically what we're going to start off with is doing some animation, and then I'm going to be creating a scene and kind of adjusting the lighting and everything like that as well. So let's get started first of all by, by the way, we're going to be filling out, we're going to be sending you a webinar survey form that you can fill out. And if you fill that out, we will be giving you a $10 coupon for the content store. All right, so thanks everyone for attending this webinar. We're going to get started, and the first thing we're going to be doing is recreating this scene that you've seen in front of you right here.
So, were you able to get the documents I asked for?
Yes, I did.
Excellent. So where are they?
You will get your documents as soon as I get my money.
I see. Clever girl.
All right, so that's about it. We have a couple of gangsters there, or I guess a old gangster man and a mercenary female talking about some secret deal. And basically what we're going to be doing is, like I said, we're going to be starting with some animation. I'm going to be moving on to some camera work, and we're going to be talking about lighting and also how you can save props from other scenes as well. So we're going to be covering a lot of stuff in this webinar. And like I mentioned, at the end, we'll have about a 10-minute Q&A session at the end, and we'll get into that later on. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask those, put those in the questions panel. All right, so let's get started. We're going to start from scratch. So let's go ahead and create a new project. Let's take away all this stuff that we have on the screen right now. I also wanted to mention as well that we're going to be sending you this project that I just showed you. I'm going to be sending that to you via email after the webinar. And we're also recording this webinar as well. So if I move too fast on certain things, don't worry about it. You can also you can always watch it a bit later on and get a better grasp on what I'm doing here. So let's get started first of all by adding in our characters. We're going to start with let's start first with creating our scene. So we're going to create a basic scene first, and then we're going to add in our characters. So the scene that I use there, you can find it if you have iClone. You can find it in the project panel up here, and you can go down to scene right here. And in scene, there's a couple of really nice scene projects that we have laid out here. The one that I used is this lounge scene right here. I didn't use the lounge scene itself, but I actually saved assets from this lounge project. So let's go ahead and load that up. And what I'm going to do is cherry pick a couple of assets from this scene here. First of all, I'm going to change to a preview camera so we can get a better look at our sexy restaurant, bar thing, lounge, whatever it is here. So let's go ahead and I'm going to take the roof off of this lounge so we can see a little bit better from above as well. I'm just going to click on the roof and delete it. All right, now the layout of this scene here is very interesting because let's take a look at this first wall, for example. Okay, so this wall that has the bar on it. If I select that wall, notice that I can, if I move it with the gizmo right here, I'm moving the entire wall along with the chairs and the bar and everything like that. So the way that that is possible is if we go into our scene manager right here, I can go into this wall item right here. This is the wall item. And if I twirl this little triangle thing down here, you can see we have the bar, and then we have wine coolers. And if I expand this a little bit, we have bar tables with high chairs and whiskey and wine glasses. You can't really see those from this angle, but let's zoom in a little bit and take a look. You can see we have all those whiskey bottles and wine glasses on the bar right there. So all this is done by basically attaching one thing to another. So for example, if I select my high chair and I go over here to my modify panel, you can see that we have the high chair attached to box 3. So the box 3 is probably some item that's on the bar, and the bar table is attached to box 04, for example, and the wine cooler attached to box 01. All right, so basically everything here is just attached to each other. And if we have the bar, you can see the bar is attached to box 01. So everything is basically attached to this wall, and you can see the wall is attached to nothing. So that's how you can attach things to each other, and you can save them as a separate prop, and then you can import in the entire thing, the wall, completely with everything as a sub prop underneath it. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to select this wall right here and go over to my content panel, and I'm going to go into props and to my custom props tab right here, and we're going to just go to props, and I'm going to press plus. And what that's going to do is that's going to save the entire wall complete with the bar and the stools and everything like that. So just give that a moment. And then what we're going to do is save it as, what can you save it as? Save it as a webinar bar wall, for lack of a better name. Okay, so webinar bar wall right there. It's kind of a tongue twister to say. And then we can go ahead and save anything else as well. So let's try and save this other wall over here, for example. So if I select this wall over here, we go into the scene manager, you can see this just has a door, dresser, and a couple other things on there, and we can move the entire wall like that as well. So we can go to content again and save this. Whoops, we want to cancel that. Make sure you deselect your previous item there. Press the plus button, and we can save that other wall as well. So iClone has a bunch of embedded projects, and if you go through those projects, you can actually pick and choose different assets that you want, and you can save them and use them in your own custom projects. So we'll call it webinar wall. Just webinar wall, I guess. Okay, and after webinar wall, let's find one more thing to choose to save out, and I'm going to choose this set of lounge chairs right here, or this set of sofas with a little table in the middle there. If we go to our scene manager from here, you can see we have the sofa, beanbag, wine glass, and all this stuff here. So if we want to save this entire set, we can do so. Again, go to the Content tab, Custom. We'll just call it, whoops, again, we need to deselect that. We'll just call it Sofa Set, or Webinar Sofa Set maybe. And once that's done, I'll leave the rest because I've already saved out a couple of assets from this project, Webinar Sofa Set. All right, so we have 3 assets that we've saved just like that, and I've also saved a couple of other ones just so we, have more time to do other things instead of repeating the same process of saving stuff over and over again. So that's basically it. I've just cherry-picked a couple of assets from this project, and we're going to start a new project and create our own from scratch. So this should take about 10 minutes or so just to create a project from scratch, not too long at all. So all I need to do now is with the, you can see I have my custom tab open over here. I'm going to just double click on this webinar bar wall. And you can see now that entire wall will import in just like I had it before. All right, so that's really cool. It's a nice, easy way to do it. And keep in mind that wherever you save your prop, it's going to apply at that same spot in the scene. So for example, this right here, this place where my mouse is, that's called the scene root right here. And on the project that I saved this wall from, the wall was a little bit north of the scene root. So that's where it's going to be put in when we double click it from the content manager here. All right, so let's do the same thing with the webinar wall wall down here, for example. If we double click that, you can see it added in the exact same spot. So it's an easy way, to determine the size of the original project right here, just to do those 2 walls. Now, in addition to that, we also have, props that we can use in the template folder as well. So if we go to props over here into 3D blocks, what I'm going to do is there's a section here called wall and floor. And wall and floor just basically contains a few walls and a few floors. So fairly simple stuff. I'm going to just double click on this floor 001, and that's going to load in floor, or it should. There we go. All right, so we have a floor for our bar now. I'm going to create a totally custom floor. Now, if I want to expand this floor to both edges of my walls right there, The easiest way to do it is if you press Control, Shift, and P, Control P rather, Control P for your preferences, you have these control options right here. So Control P, you get these options right here. You can snap to grid, you can snap to model, you can angle snap. So these are different snapping options. For this one, I'm going to choose snap to model. You can also use the Control M hotkey, which I'll use from now on. And I'm going to bring this floor a little bit over here, and you can see it kind of snaps into place. If I bring it over there, it kind of snaps to the wall. So that's a really nice, useful little tip when you are assembling your own scene. Snap to model is super useful. Now, if I press the R hotkey, I turn to a scale gizmo here, and if I try to make the floor bigger, it'll scale from the center pivot point, which in this case is not what I want. So I'm going to press Control Z and undo that. And what we can do is go over here to our pivot point adjuster, and we can choose a quick set. I think it's back. We can choose any one of these corners on our floor there. Maybe try the front one here. There we go. Okay, so you just have to kind of mess around with those. And now it's in the corner, and now we can expand from this, we can scale it up from this corner right here. So let's press the R hotkey and just scale it up like that. And you can see the result right there. So we get a nice scaling effect, and then we can scale it up this way, and there we go. All right, so there's a nice scaled up wall, and everything is good in the world. So let's go ahead and add in a couple other assets now. And what I'm going to do is go to my custom props here again, and I saved a window. I believe I called it window. Yes, window. So this was the windows that you saw on the side of the bar. So I'm just going to double click this window, and notice that the window is nowhere to be seen. Now, if that happens, if you accidentally saved it without checking the root and anything like that, you can press the F hotkey, and that'll focus on the window. You can see it's way up here, and if we go down, you can see how far away it is from the original prop right here, the original set. And I've done this on purpose because I want to show you the Align To tool right here. So if your prop is way off in the middle of nowhere, you can simply use this Align To tool right here, also the Control L hotkey. You can click on any item in your scene right there. So I'm going to press X, Y, and Z axes, and we can align that to our pivot point. Press the F hotkey, and we're back focused in on our scene right here. So then we can press the W hotkey and move it down. I'm going to press Control M and turn Snap to Model off right now because we want to kind of customize our placement of this window. Let's just place it on the corner here. And use the R hotkey to scale it down a little bit. Again, this is just a nice, easy way to do it. We can scale that down a little bit more. And I probably should change the pivot point to that corner, but we'll work at that. Okay, so now we have our window, floor-to-ceiling windows on one side of our scene. And then what I'm going to do is hold the Control key, and this is an easy way to copy any prop in your scene. I'm going to hold the Control key and click and drag this window across right here. There you go. And it'll create a second copy of that window. And then what we want to do is press the E hotkey so we can rotate it and rotate the window set around. And we want to get a perfect angle, so let's go up here to our transform values, and let's see. You can see it should be 180 on the Z-axis. So we type in 180, 180, number lock. There we go. 180, we should have an exact parallel window line right there. And we're good to go. So we pretty much have the base of our scene right here. We're not going to bother with a roof in this webinar. You can always do that later if you want. But let's take a look now at how we can add some textures into our scene as well. So I'm going to go select my floor, and we're going to add a custom texture onto our floor. Now, there's a number of different ways you can do this. You can go to Materials right here, and you can just double-click on your diffuse channel, and you can add a material like any texture map you have right here. So say, for example, I wanted this marble floor. FGHIJKLM, there's some marble here somewhere, I believe. There we go. More marble. If I double-click on that, you can see, well, okay, we have some really big marble tiles. So if we want them to be smaller, if we want to tile it more, then we can just go here to Tiling and change our UV values to like 10 and 10. And you can see now we have the nice tiled marble, just like that. Okay, and another way you can adjust your materials as well is if you want to use substance materials, which are included in iClone 6 as well. You can go up here to Media, and under Media, under Texture, we have, rather not under Texture, under Material, we have Substance right here. These ones are embedded with iClone 6, so these come included with iClone 6. And then I also have this Substance Power 200 pack, which includes a number of different subcategories like architecture. You can see there's bricks, streets, and everything like that. There's different types of ground, basically limitless, options right here. And say, for example, we wanted to have another. Let's take our floor here, hold the control key, click and drag a little bit down, and then I'm going to change my. So that created a copy. I'm going to change my pivot point to the middle now. So let's just change it to the middle. There we go. Press the R hotkey, and I'm going to scale it up. So now we have another layer that's kind of below that layer. And I'm just going to, using this layer to show you a substance material. We can go to the substances that are included with iClone, and I believe there's a wood one here somewhere. I believe there's some wooden planks right here. So I can click and drag that, and you can see we create some wooden planks. So a nice, patio outside of our lounge, cafe, whatever it is out there. And with the substance materials, you can go to Material, and you can see it has this little squiggly red kind of thing in the left-hand corner there, bottom left-hand corner. That's the indicates it's a substance material, and it can be procedurally modified in your scene. And what that means is you can actually animate and adjust these values right down here in real time. So first of all, let's change our output size to 2048 because we want to have a higher output size. And I'm going to press Control G to turn off my grid here so we can get a better look at this material here. And you can see here we can change the angle of the wood like this. Change the angle of the divots there in the wood. You can change the wood grain, add more grain to it. You can't really see that very well, but this one you can definitely see the amount of boards. We can increase or decrease the amount of boards like this. Okay, so there's just a number of different options you can use. I'm just showing you one right here, and that's a substance material. And all these other values, you can adjust these in real time. Any value that you see in iClone that has green text, any parameter that has green text, that means you can animate it. So these can be animated. We can change the number of boards if we wanted to have some sort of weird dreamlike sequence or something. All right, so that's about it for the substance materials and how to add materials to your scene. Let's go ahead and import in a couple other things here. So I'm going to go to my content, custom props here. And our sofa set, let's just double click in the sofa set and bring that in and place it right over there. That's a fine place for our sofa set. And I believe we also have, there's some table sets. So I'm just going to click and drag in this table set here. All right, so this is a table set that we had in the lounge as well. Now for the table sets, I'm going to press the G hotkey because the G hotkey gives you a direct overhead view of your scene like this. All right, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and you can see we have an orthographic view of from top down. So I'm going to click and drag this table set over here, and I can just, control, click and drag, create a couple more table sets like this. Control, click and drag like that, and then control, click and drag, maybe one more in the corner there. All right, so we have all these table sets just like this, and if we go down, now you can see we've created all those duplicate table sets, which is pretty cool. All right, so that's really a really easy way to do that, and I believe there's also a carpet here that I'm going to add to my, put underneath my sofas here. I saved the carpet out earlier. I'll just double click, we'll actually double click this, I think. And it's a little below our scene, so we can just raise it up a little bit and maybe lower it down a little bit. We don't want to be below the tile, so just a little bit above the tile right there should be good. All right, so we'll work with this. And now if we don't want any of this nonsense, like this beanbag chair, for example, in this lounge, then we can go to our, select our sofas over here, select our scene manager, and under table, we can find the beanbag and just delete that. And then we can find this other sofa, this third sofa. Nobody likes the third wheel, so let's go ahead and delete that sofa. And now we have a more intimate setting. Let's bring these sofas a little bit closer together as well. So something like this. And take this one and bring it a little bit further forward like that. All right, so looking good. And this is what we're going to work with right now. Actually, I want to add a couple more pillars in because we're going to, there's some pillars I saved out as well. We're going to put some lights on those pillars later on, just to create a more intimate kind of atmosphere. And if these pillars aren't as high as you want them to be, you can press the R hotkey and stretch them up like that. There we go. And that'll reach the roof. And Control, click and drag, and put another pillar over here. All right, so that's looking a little bit better. Let's zoom in right there. Okay, so now what I want to do is we're going to talk about, that's your basic scene setup. Okay, so this is your very, very basic scene setup. And if you have any questions later on in the webinar, feel free to, again, ask me, put those in the questions panel, and I'll get to those in the last about 10-15 minutes of this webinar. So what I want to do now is add in the characters. So I'm going to go to my Actors tab. Actually, I have some custom characters saved for this particular project. So I'm going to go into my Webinars folder here. I have a Gangster Man, which I've saved from Character Creator. This guy's a little bit more nefarious looking than our embedded Christian and Natalie characters right here. So you can see he looks like some sort of corrupt businessman type dude. And we're fine with that. What I'm going to do actually is here, you can see the carpet's kind of a little bit too high on his feet. Let's take the carpet and bring it down a little bit. I'm going to select the carpet right here. And I'm going to control click and select the floor as well. We're going to bring both of those down a little bit. So let's bring those both down like that. There we go. So we can actually kind of see our dude's feet. All right. Success. All right. So we're going to animate this guy, and we're going to animate another female character, which I have also saved out from Character Creator. And these characters come from the Professional Outfits pack in Character Creator. I'm going to take the mercenary lady here and click and drag her in. So the Character Creator pack is an awesome, really essential. I mean, if you're serious about iClone or animation or anything, get this Character Creator pack, the Professional Outfits, because it gives you a lot more options for clothing than you would normally have with the free version of Character Creator. All right, so we want to place our characters in their initial positions. So if you can recall, the female character, I'm going to press the E hotkey and rotate her around. She's going to be in front of, you can see she's actually taller than the guy with those high heels. She's going to be, it actually looks like they're kind of off the ground. Maybe I went too low on that carpet there. And I guess been too much detail on that. Anyways, we can always fix that later on. But okay, so now they're like posing in front of each other, T-posing in front of each other. So we'll take her and put her in an initial spot again, which is about right there. And I'm going to take this table and move it back a little bit as well. Right here, where is it? We'll just take the whole table and move it a little bit. There we go. Okay. And this guy right here, we're going to have him walk towards the sofa, turn around, and sit down. And now this is where I'm going to introduce mix moves to you. Now, mix moves are like a number of different motions that are included in a content pack. And what they're really, really useful for is transitioning between two different positions. So like walking to sitting or sitting to standing or anything like that. So I'm going to take this guy, use the E hotkey, we're going to rotate him around. And I'm going to move him over here, press the W hotkey and bring him over here. And what he's going to do is he's going to walk towards the sofa and sit down. So we'll have him positioned maybe about right here, okay? And what I want him to do is walk towards that sofa and sit down. But first I'm going to apply the animation to the female character for her just to sit down, because that's a really simple one. So we're going to go to our Content tab right here, our motions, and you can see I've installed these mix moves packs. So we have a mix move for male and a mix move for female. Now we're also going to be releasing a new mix moves pack on the 30th of this month, on June 30th, and it's going to be awesome with all kinds of new motions, transitional motions that are going to be super, super useful in any project. I'd recommend checking that out. Highly recommend checking it out. I've already kind of fooled around with it myself. But let's go ahead and just give this female character the stand to sit mix moves. So we need to find stand to sit. Oops. stand should be down here. You can see there's so many of them in the QRST, stand to sit, or where is it here? Maybe it's up here a little bit. There's just too many of these. Forget where it is. All right. Yeah, so sit. Okay, we'll just apply the sit right here. Okay, so sit 0, 1, just double click that, and our female character will sit. Wait a sec, there should be one stand to sit. How come I can't find it here? So idle to sit. This is the one right here, I think. There's just too many. I forgot which one I used. Okay, so we'll have her sit down just like that. Okay, so we have an idle to sit, I guess it's called. She's kind of breaking through the ground a little bit, or the sofa a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll take her, and at frame 1, I'm going to move her a little bit to the left right here. And I think her angle is a little bit strange too, so we'll just go ahead and twirl her back like that. So now if we play back, she'll sit on the sofa. All right, good. All right, so that's a nice seed position right there. And what we're going to do now is have the man walk towards the sofa. So the male character, will go to mix move for male, and this one is called walk to sit. I know this one for sure. All right, so we'll just go ahead and apply walk to sit. You can see, hey, dude, you're walking the wrong way. Now, normally when you do that, you can just go ahead, and this is a little kind of trick that you can use. Right-click your character, select Remove Object Animation, and just kind of face him the right way. After you've applied it once, just face him the right way. We're going to face him towards the sofa right there. And then we'll apply Walk to Sit again. And now he'll just walk over and sit in the correct spot. Okay, so just use the right-click and Remove Object Animation, because when you do it initially, it's always going to go in a certain direction. And if you right-click, Remove Object Animation, and then reposition your character one more time, then you're going to get the correct angle, or the correct path for your character to go on. So obviously we want him to sit on the sofa, so I think this is looking okay. Just walking over like that, and maybe at this point where he's twisting around, you can see he kind of sits at an angle because he's, facing this direction. We want him to face sitting the female character. So all we need to do is right here, as he's sitting around, as he's spinning around rather, notice right now his right foot is planted. So if I zoom in a little bit, you can see he kind of plants his right foot and spins around on his right foot, just like that. So as his right foot is planted, what I'm going to do is press F3, go into my timeline, and we're going to just double-click on this frame in the transform track. So the transform track determines the position your character is in the world. So if I click right here, double-click right there, it's going to add a keyframe. And then as he spins around right here, we want to, as he plants his left foot, let's just change the position a little bit. So let's move him like facing this direction right here. Okay? And so then he'll do something like this. Okay, and he'll sit down. You can see he kind of slides out as he sits down. So what we want to do is right here. Now, we want his feet to stay in this position. We don't want his feet to slide forward like that. You can see his feet are sliding forward kind of like that. If we want to avoid that, what I often do as a little trick here is I just go into my props and find a little cube or a circle or something like that, or a sphere, and I just add that to my scene, like this ball right here. And I use this as a marker. I'm going to press the R hotkey to scale that down. I use this as a marker to remind me where exactly in the scene our character's feet are planted. Okay, so I'm just going to right-click and remove object animation because we don't want the scaling to do anything. Okay, so that's where our character's foot is, right where that white sphere is. So if we want to avoid him sliding forward like that, you can see the feet slide forward, which isn't very realistic. All right, we want to have his feet planted there because they're already planted. Okay, so as he sits down, when he finishes sitting down, what we can do then is we can just move him back like this and put his foot in the same spot right there. Okay, so now the ball is part of his foot, is inside his foot there again. So now what happens is he will now sit down and we won't have that sliding on the feet. So that's a little bit of advanced, it might be a little bit advanced for some of you, but again, you can rewatch this and figure it out later on. But that's a really nice way to solve foot sliding, which tends to be an issue when you're animating. Okay, so that's pretty much the only body animation I want to have for my characters. So let's see what we have so far. If I just close that down, I press stop to go to frame 1. We can delete that little circle now, or that little sphere. I'm just going to play back, and you can see we have our male character sit down and the female character sit down. I think she might be a little bit too far away from the, oh, nope, she's seated fine. Okay. All right, so now we have two characters seated down and they're about to talk. So what we want to do next is we want to have our characters talk to each other. Now, there's a number of different options for this. You can use your own voice. I mean, if you're doing previs, which is pre-visualization, before you actually produce your final product, you can just use your own voice as a test or something like that. But, you know, I recommend if you're doing a final production, obviously, to get voice actors. What I'm going to do is use our text-to-speech service that we have with Reallusion. So if we, you know, go into Chrome and just type, you know, Reallusion TTS, for example, that's going to bring up this website right here. So you can check this out on your own time. Again, you can, it's basically a number of different voices from different countries and languages and accents that you can use, and you can, basically it generates audio files. You just type in the text and it generates audio files for you. So if you're wondering where I got the voices for this webinar, this is where I got them. All right, so let's go ahead and start animating our characters now. So they're sitting across from each other, and the guy speaks first. All right, so as soon as he sits down like this, the guy says something, and if we want to animate him, what we need to do is go to his face. Let's focus on his face here. Go to Motion, and I'm going to select Create Script under Facial Motion right here. So I'll Create Script. Now again, like I mentioned, you have the option to record your voice. Use text-to-speech with your computer's engine, or use an audio file, or a script file is from crazytalk 8 as well. So let's go to audio file. I've already saved this out, and let's just use this #1 audio file right here.
So, were you able to get the documents I asked for?
All right, so were you able to get the documents I asked for? And then we can just go ahead a few frames, you know, maybe to frame 715 or something like that. Give her a couple seconds to respond, or half a second to respond, and we'll go to the female character. And we'll do the same thing. Just apply the create script from the female character, audio file, and #2.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so don't worry about the lack of facial expression on the characters right now. We're just getting the basics down. We're getting the automatic lip syncing done, and just the timing and everything like that. So after she says, yes, I did, then we go ahead a few more frames and have the guy, click on him, create script, audio file #3.
Excellent. So where are they?
Excellent. So where are they? And then a few frames ahead. For the female, again, we're just getting all of the basics down here. So create script, audio file, and #4.
You will get your documents as soon as I get my money.
All right, so she gives an ultimatum. And let's go to 12:46. And the guy has his final line, clever girl. Create scripts, audio file, 305.
I see. Clever girl.
All right. Okay, so now we have our lip syncing down. If you want to modify the lip syncing, we may have time to do that later, but that's not going to be the focus of this webinar. You can do lip sync editing as well, but we're going to focus now on the facial animation of our characters. So we need to give them some sort of expression, obviously, because we don't want them to stare at each other like robots. And now before I do that, what I'm going to do is set up some cameras for us. Okay, so right now we want to basically have a back and forth camera shot. Over the shoulder, or OTS, camera angles for both characters. So before I do that, I'm going to go to Render, and I'm going to change our output size, the frame size right now, to 720, or rather, yeah, 1280 by 720 right here. So now we get a bit more of a wide frame, and it looks a little bit better. Okay, and I'm going to create 3 cameras. So I'm going to create camera create camera, there we go, and create camera. So I've just created 3 cameras. If I go to my scene manager right here, you can see I have camera and camera with 0 and camera with 1 in parentheses. Now, the first camera, we're going to double click the name and we're going to call it establish shot, okay? So this is normally the first shot in any scene. It's called your establish shot, all right? And the second camera, we're going to call that man, and the second camera is called woman, all right? So our establish shot, this is what we're going to do for our establish shot. We're going to kind of go back out like this. I'm going to make sure all these cameras are invisible here by pressing these little eye icons here, make them all invisible. So our camera shot is going to start from about this angle, our established shot. So kind of behind the male character. And if we play back, as he sits down right here, as both of them sit down, we're going to be gradually moving the camera to this angle right here. All right, so this is going to kind of like a standoff or something like that. This camera angle represents kind of like a standoff or opposition to each other. All right, so now we have this position right here, and if we play back, then we have this camera movement slowly panning to the side, ending up right there. Now, if we press F3 and go into our timeline, and we select our established shot camera, let's hold the Alt key and scroll down to zoom out here a little bit. I used the wrong camera. Oh, I used the woman camera for that. Okay. So let's just call this one, let's rename it establish. Sorry to confuse you guys, had the wrong camera there. And let's name this one woman. Okay. So establish, that's the main camera right here. Okay, so we have this, we can click and drag, and it creates 2 keyframes in the transform track. So again, changing the position of the camera from here to here. And if we want to change the movement of that camera, we can also right-click on this keyframe, select transition curve, and select ease in and out. And this will give us a little bit more of a smooth camera transition. You may not be able to see it on the webinar, on the GoToWebinar, but when you watch the recording later, you'll be able to notice the difference for sure. So you can see it eases in, there's a lot of movement in the middle there, and then eases out at the end right there. So that looks a bit more professional, just a little touch that you can add to make it look a bit more professional. Okay, so we have our first camera shot. Now let's go to this frame right here. When both characters are seated, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to select the man camera, and we're going to go up here to man as well. And what we're going to do is set our camera here. We're going to focus on the male character. So again, we're using the over-the-shoulder OTS shot for the male character. Now, generally when you have a dialogue between 2 separate characters, what you want to do is you want to create a kind of a sense of closeness to each other. Now, the easy way to do that is with your camera selected. So we're going to select our man camera here in the scene manager. Go to your modify tab right here and increase your focal length. And as I do that, you can see the result right here. It makes everything seem a little bit closer together. It kind of decreases the appearance of distance between objects in our scene. So we can just use the preset of 105 millimeter, and let's focus on him. Let's try and do something maybe like this. I think that looks okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use depth of field. So I'm going to select activate depth of field, and you can see our man will go out of focus. Let's pick target and pick the dude's head right there. All right, now he's in focus. And the female character, her head is still kind of in focus. So if we want to make her a little bit more blurred in the foreground, then we can change our focus range to something like 300. And you can see that'll blur her out a little bit more because we want to focus on the man, not on her shoulder. So we want to blur her out a little bit. Okay, and now that we have this everything modified, we have this keyframe right here. Again, if we go down, you can select you can see depth of field, lens. They both have keyframes right there. But this one triangle keyframe right up here, or this cylinder or pillar, whatever it is, that's basically a absolute keyframe for all the keyframes underneath it. So if I click and drag this one, it's going to click and drag all those values to the very beginning. That means this camera is going to stay in this position for the entire duration of the clip, of the scene. Okay, so let's do the same thing for the female camera. So let's go to change to woman and go to a frame where she is sitting down, and let's focus on her. So we want to make sure that we are over his right shoulder. Ooh, went into his head right there. And again, with the woman camera selected, make sure we change our focal length to 105 and try and get a similar angle. Something like that would be okay. I think we need to zoom out a little bit more. There we go. That's kind of roughing it, but we're not going to spend too much time comparing the two. All right, and then again, activate your depth of field, focus on female, and change the range to something like 300, and we're set to go. We can and move that absolute key all the way back to the beginning. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to switch the camera views at different points. So this is using the switcher track in the project. Under project here, we have a switcher track, and that's where you switch the cameras. So let's change our camera view to switch. All right, and I'm going to right-click at frame 1. I'm going to right-click in my switcher track and select camera list, select establish, because that's our first camera. Okay, and you can see it'll change to the established shot. So let's play back. Our characters will walk in, sit down, and then we have, at this point, I think when the guy starts talking, right about there, after he says so, we're going to change the camera. So let's right-click on that switcher track now, select camera list, select man, play back.
So, were you able to get the documents I asked for?
Okay, and then here we'll switch to the female woman camera.
Yes, I did.
Okay, and then here we'll switch to the male camera again, camera list, man, play back.
Excellent. So where are they?
You will.
And here we'll switch back to the female. Now you may notice as well that her hair is kind of flying all over the place when I press play, and that's because of soft body physics. So if I want to turn that off, I can just use this flag button here and turn off soft body simulation, and that should do the trick.
We'll get your documents as soon as I get my money.
Okay. And how to switch back to him a little bit earlier here, camera list and man. All right, so those are our camera switching keyframes, and that's all there is to it really. So let's go ahead and play this back.
So, were you able to get the documents I asked for?
Yes, I did.
Excellent. So where are they?
You will get your documents as soon.
All right, so you get the point. All right, so let's go ahead and do the facial animation then. So I'm not going to use these camera views. We can use these camera views, but I'm going to spend about the next 5 to 10 minutes on facial animation, and we'll set up the lighting, and that'll be the last thing I'm going to cover here. All right, so let's go ahead and right about here, he says, so did you get the documents? So let's select our male character, go to motion right here, and choose face puppet. Now this is a real-time puppet tool where you can kind of, if I press preview, you can puppet your character's face according to your mouse movements like that. Okay, so it's a really quick and easy way to do facial animation for your character. And there's different emotions like this sad one right here. If he's sad like that, or there's one where he's angry. All right, so I think this one's pretty good because considering he's, so did you get the documents? All right, so I'm just pressing space to preview here, by the way. If you're ready to record, just press record and then go ahead and do it.
Were you able to get the documents I asked for?
Yes.
All right, and we'll just stop it there. We'll move ahead to his next scene right here.
Excellent. Super.
Okay, and he says excellent. So he's a little bit happier in this one here. So he says excellent. So let's go ahead and use the first frame right there. And let's use Christian, and we'll use a happy. Maybe that's a little bit too happy. We can use this one smiley maybe right here. Okay, so now he's smiling like this, and we'll go ahead and record that.
Excellent. So where are they?
You will get.
And then we'll go to his last stop right here, and then he's a little bit sad after she says, you'll get your documents when I get my money. So let's give him the sad expression, and we can preview that like this. Go ahead and press record.
I see. Clever girl.
Okay. This is some really quick facial animation. You can see his head is tilting as well. So let's go back and do the same thing for the female character. So you sit down, guy talks, you can see the facial expression, and she says, yes, I did. So at this point here, we can give her like just some basic expression, like a smiley expression like this one right here. Oops, we need to make sure we select the right character first. Let's select our female character there and do the same thing. Face puppet. There you go. Yes, I did. Okay, so we'll have her kind of smile like that.
Yes, I did.
Excellent.
And I mean, we don't have to keep on stopping and going like this, but just kind of want to show you how you can create separate clips. So right here. So now she says, you'll get the documents when I get my money. So here she's going to be pretty happy, I believe. Let's just use a smiley one instead, actually. Right? So
Get your documents as soon as I get my money.
I see.
okay, so now we have at least a little bit of facial expression on our characters. Okay, and what you can do is if I select my female character, for example, like the mercenary, and I select this object-related track, that's going to open the track for any object that you have selected. So you can see woman right here. We can go down to, whoops, that's the camera. Mercenary, we can open up the motion layer track, the expression track, or rather the expression track here. And that's going to be the facial puppet. The vising track is for your lip sync, okay, just so you know where those are. So here's the, if we hold Alt and scroll out to zoom out, you can see there's an audio file right here. That's our lip syncing file. And the puppet clip is the facial puppet animation. And you can modify these in various ways, but we're not going to really cover too much about that. All right, and the last thing about animation I'm going to talk to you about is direct puppet. Now, before I get into that, I believe I forgot to have our characters look at each other. So if we want our characters, an easy way to have the characters look at each other, I'm going to select my female character, go over here, and I'm going to choose this look at, pick target, and pick the dude's head. Right, so now she's looking at his head. We can have the guy do the same thing. So have him selected and choose look at, pick target, and pick the female's head. So now when they sit down, it'll be like this, giving each other the death stare as they sit down. All right. Okay, now the last thing I want to do is, like I mentioned, talk about direct puppet. Now direct puppet is for the body. So if we, let's switch to our preview mode right here. And let's zoom in on our dude's face right here. So let's pretend, let's pretend he's looking at us, like we're the female mercenary. Let's pretend he's looking at us. So what he says is,
So, were you able to get the documents I asked for?
so we're able to get the documents I asked for. So maybe he's a little bit interested. He wants to kind of lean in as he's talking. So at this point,
So,
we want to go to the motion tab right here and choose direct puppet. Now I'm just going to briefly show this to you. I'm going to select our character's chest, select primary rotation, and if I press space,
were you able to get the documents I asked for?
okay, so we
Yes,
can rotate him
I
forward
did.
like that. And that's kind of a bit more engaging if he's having a conversation. So let's go ahead and record that.
Were you able to get the documents I asked for?
Yes, I did.
Excellent. So where are they?
You will get your documents as soon as I get my money.
I see. Clever girl.
Okay, so that basically what we did is we just used our preview camera, and for the entire thing we created an animation of him kind of moving his chest a little bit. And you can find that if we go into, rather, let's have the character selected first. I believe we do have him selected already, or we should. There we go, Gangster Man. All right, so what that did is it created a puppet clip right here in our motion track. So there's our walk to sit right there that we had before, and here's the puppet clip from our direct puppet. And now our guy is like leaning in like
Were you
this.
successful?
Okay, and we can do the same thing for the female as well. So let's go and change to this view, the view of the female. Again, we're using our preview camera, so we don't have to worry about creating any camera movement here. And as she sits down, all right, let's zoom in on her right here. Pretend she's looking at us. And play back. Oops.
So, were you able to get the documents I asked for?
Yeah,
Here we'll have her do like a little bit of motion as well. Direct puppet. Do the. I like to use this chest rotation thing. Yes.
I did.
Okay, so she'll say, yes, I did, and lean forward.
Yes, I did.
Excellent. So where are they?
You will get your documents as soon as I get my money.
I see. Clever girl.
Okay, so when she says you'll get your documents as soon as I get my money, I kind of made her lean backwards, kind of like she's pretty confident this guy is going to give her the money. All right, and that's really all there is for the animation. I'm going to spend a couple minutes here on the lighting and shadowing, and then we're going to move on to the Q&A session. So let's go ahead and do that. With the characters in our scene right now, we have default lighting. We have 2 default lights that are included in every iClone scene. And you can go down to lights and you can see which those are, key and rim right here. Let's turn those both off and put ourselves in complete darkness right here. And we're going to start with some romantic lounge lighting. So we're going to go to the Content tab under Props. And you can see under Props we have Light Tools somewhere down here, Light Tool right here. And I'm going to select these wall lamps. So we're going to put these wall lamps on the pillars like I mentioned earlier. Okay, so I'm just going to click and drag these into our scene. Not sure where it added. It went way back there. So again, we can align it to our pillar right here, X, Y, and Z, and then press the W hotkey, move it up, move it forward a little bit, and there's our first light in our scene. Let there be lights. And there's our first one. So we'll use the E hotkey to rotate it slightly, like this, and rotate it at a 90-degree angle. There we go. And move it back towards the pillar. And there we go. We have this nice light on that pillar right there. Let's control, click and drag, and create another light, an identical light. And you can see that these lights have little controls that you can use to make them brighter or darker on top here as well. I don't normally use those too often, but just so you know, we have them there. And then the last light I'm going to add in here is this pendant lamp. So I'm going to click and drag this pendant lamp into our scene. I really like pendant lamps because they have a lot of different features. They have a point light and a spotlight included in them. So we're going to take this pendant lamp and kind of bring it up, somewhere near where we imagine the roof is, okay, right up there. You can see it casts a fairly heavy shadow on our characters. So let's go ahead and change to our switch view right here. Let's take a look at what the lighting looks like now. So you can see we get this nice shadow coming from directly above the male character, and it looks kind of interesting, kind of dark and dangerous. So it's making him look a little bit more dangerous. Now for the female character, we don't really want that that harsh of shadows on her face, to be honest with you. So we want to add another artificial point light in there as well. Okay, the male character is fine. I like his look, but the female character, we want her to have kind of a brighter face. So let's go to add in a point light. So I'm going to change my preview camera, and I'm going to create a light and a point light. Now point lights don't cast shadows, so keep that in mind. Okay, point lights are just kind of atmospheric lights. So we're going to kind of bring this onto the side of our female character's face, about right here. You can see it's really bright at this point. We're going to change the brightness down quite significantly. So place it right about there. I think that's a really nice way to light her face. And let's change the multiplier to like something like 0.6, like that. You can see now it's barely noticeable, but it still lights up her face. And we also want to decrease that range as well for the light because we don't want it to affect anything else other than her face. So just barely enough to light up her face, just like that. Okay? And then because I've done all this at frame 720, what I want to do is right-click, remove object animation, and that's going to keep these values for the entire duration of the project. So let's take a look at what it looks like now. Let's go to our switch view, and if we play back, I'll have to make that light invisible first of all. Go over here. There we go. I'm going to play back now.
So, were you able to get the documents I asked for?
Yes, I did.
All right, so you can see the face is a lot better now. It's at least a little bit better lit, so we can actually see her eyes and everything like that.
Excellent. So where are they?
You will get your documents as soon as I get my money.
I see. Clever girl.
All right, so that's pretty nice. And what I want to do is one last final touch here is I want to change the shadows slightly. So let's focus on this male character here. And let's go to visuals. I'm going to enhance the shadows, and that's the last thing we're going to do here. So let's go over to Shadow Map. And for shadow, you can change the opacity. Because this is a very dark scene, I want to increase my opacity to 100. And we're going to change the resolution to 4096 as well. I think that point light might have been a little bit too bright on this character. Anyways, we'll just go ahead and use that right now, this frame right here. And then I want to change this bias to 0 because we want the shadows to be as accurate as possible and change our performance to high quality. Now I think that we may want to take this point light's range down. There you go. Now you can see the shadows a bit better on the male character right there. And let's take those wall lamps down a bit. Maybe they're affecting him as well. Oh, no, I know what's affecting him. Let's go to Scene. And in the pendant lamp, there's also a point light, which I want to disable. Okay, so there's a point light inside that pendant lamp. Let's change to only the spotlight. I'll increase the range of that spotlight to the maximum value. And we can change that multiplier to like something like 1. And now we get the kind of top-down lighting that we're looking for. All right, and I think this one point light as well needs to be, the range needs to be a little bit less as well. So we want something like this for this male character. Now you can really see the, if we change the opacity, you can see the change in the shadows right here, so a little bit stronger. All right, so take a look at our female character, and she's still looking okay. All right, so that's about it for this webinar for the live demo part anyways. So now I'm available to answer any questions you might have about, our products, the animation technical stuff, or else the future of Reallusion and what we're doing in the future. Feel free to ask me anything at this point. So I'm going to open up my questions panel, and it looks like we have a few questions already. And I'll go ahead and get started on answering those. So we have a question from Robert asking about, for iClone Absolute Beginners, are there any super simple tutorials, videos, or classes which describe what you demonstrated on a step-by-step basis? Yeah, sorry if I went a little bit fast for you guys in this webinar, but we do have a variety of user levels in this webinar. But we do have some absolute beginner tutorials for sure. I'm going to go into Chrome here. Actually, I believe we have it in the Reallusion page as well. Let me just go to reallusion.com here. And we have an iClone training center. So if we go to, I don't really navigate the the website that often, to be honest with you. I'm mostly focused around the marketplace and content store. But in YouTube, you can find a Reallusion, and we have a playlist for beginners. If we go to playlists under our Reallusion channel, there are some iClone, review 30 more, come on. Okay, there we go. iClone Basics right here. So there's iClone Basics. These ones are really simple. And then there's also the Beginner's Guide for iClone as well. These are two that I would recommend for beginner users. This iClone Basics playlist and the Beginner's Guide playlist. Okay, so you can find those by going into our Reallusion channel. I also think there's the Training Center. If you go to the iClone page right here, you can go to Learn Training Center, and you can find them all in a nice little package right here. So here's the Beginner's Guide. If you don't want to use the YouTube playlist, you can find them here as well. Basic camera work. Again, I touched on a lot of these in this webinar, but I did go quite fast because, it's to create a scene like this is about 45 minutes that I created this scene is actually quite an impressive feat, including facial animation, expressions, lighting, and everything like that. So that's really the advantage of iClone, is just the speed that you can create stuff with. It's actually quite amazing compared to a lot of other software out there. You have these real-time tools where you can create the real-time facial puppet and everything like that. Really useful tools. And like I mentioned, keep your eye out for the Mixed Moves pack that's coming up in the near future as well. It's going to be amazing and super useful for any sort of producers. All right, so hopefully that answers the question. Let me just open up the question panel again here. Hopefully it answers your question, Mr. Robert. Okay, yeah, sorry, I was just having trouble maximizing my window there. All right, so Peter asks, will we post this video on YouTube? Yep, we will post this video on YouTube for you guys. We'll send you a private link so you can view this webinar. So if you missed some stuff, my apologies again for going pretty fast in this webinar if you're a beginner. So we have a question from Don who asks, does Reallusion have any plans for creating long beards for characters? I believe, Don, you might have emailed me earlier actually. You requested some long beards, like Viking beards and stuff like that. We will have those in the near future that include like soft body physics, so they'll be able to have beards that flow in the wind and stuff like that, which will be pretty cool. The content team is already working on those. As for a release date, I'm not sure, but I can guarantee you it'll be 2016. So within the next half of this year, we will have those flowing beards in the wind, like everybody always requests. Okay, so we got a question from Buck that asks, how did I make the cameras invisible again? Yep, so it was a little bit fast there again. To make your cameras invisible, just go to your scene manager, and there's this little eye icon beside all the cameras. You can click that and it'll hide and reveal your camera. So you can see the one on the top there. We can hide it and make it disappear. You can do that with anything really. You can select your female character and you can just hide her. Boom, she disappeared. All right. Now this is not animation. This is not an animatable thing, but you can just, if you don't want anything to, something's in your way in your scene, you can just use this little eye tool to make things visible and invisible. All right, so hopefully that answered that question. I got a question from Vitor. How do I create my own character? Well, Vitor, we have a program called Character Creator that is really awesome. I can probably load that up really quick for you guys. Character Creator is also a free program with iClone. Once you purchase iClone, you'll get a free copy of Character Creator. And we have tons and tons of tutorial videos on Character Creator on our YouTube channel. So I'm not going to spend too much time here, but again, that's just a really, really intuitive, really powerful tool to create your own characters. Honestly, if you have Character Creator, you're never going to have to buy another character again. You might have to buy clothing and stuff like that, but pretty much you can design any sort of character that you want. So if I'll show you a quick example of it here. I think some of you may be familiar with it, but you can basically just dress up your character. We have, for example, this is a professional outfit pack as well that's available for purchase from the content store. I'm just kind of loading this up as a demo because I want to have a character with clothing here, and you can modify the character's face, their body shape, and everything like that. Yeah, I'll just show you a quick modification here of the body type. Once this loads in, it takes a while sometimes. There you go. So this is our female character, and if you want, you can go to the character's face. You can make her nose bigger, make her nose thinner, all sorts of stuff. Make the cheeks larger, thinner, lips thicker, thinner, all kinds of stuff that you can use. And there's also morphs that you can use as well, like body morphs. If you go up here, we can change this female to a heavy female, and it'll make her a bit, just a tad bit chubbier. You can see right there. So that's, and you can modify it further from there. So literally the limits are endless. The options are endless for this character creator. You can fool around with it on your own time. Just kind of wanted to show you that. Okay, so Jason asks, is there auto lighting for other objects? I mean, we do have lighting is kind of a complicated thing to explain. I mean, I just used in this tutorial, or in this webinar rather, I just used 4 lights. A very, very simple scene setup, and I just used these light tools right here. So I assume you're talking about these auto lights right here, or these light tools for auto lighting. There's a ton of them, like spotlights, street lights, which I like to use. I really like the street lights. If I went to preview, for example, we can probably put a street light outside of our door right here, for example. Let's go over here to where the door is. Where's the door in this place? Oh, here it is. Okay. Just take a street light, bring it out over here. And these have automatic presets right here. So it's a nice street light that's, over top of the street, and looks pretty cool. Again, tons of stuff. Inlaid lights, fluorescent lights, flashlights, which is really useful as well. and you can fool around with those on your own time. Okay, so we have a question from Hatem that asks, are there any plans for Animal Creator? Well, Hatem, we will have animal type characters in the near future for Character Creator. For now, we have some developers in the content store that create like animal type characters, which are pretty cool, I think. Like, I don't know if any of you guys have seen Zootopia, you know, characters like that. Let me just try and find him here. His name is Dico, in the marketplace. Yeah, it sounds a really interesting stuff going on. He's got a second to load up there. Not sure why it's taking so long. Okay, there you can see. We have like gazelles. There's mountain lions, shark man, poodles, and all this stuff. So just go to the marketplace and check out this guy, Dicho. He has tons of stuff. You know, mighty ducks, toon foxes, and everything like that. Really cool stuff. But we will have the option to have animal characters in the future in Character Creator as well. Although it's not in the near future, I can say that. All right, so question from Peter. Yeah, so if you guys have any questions as well, I forgot to mention, you can email me at kai@reallusion.com. That's KAI@reallusion.com. That's my name. So just give me a shout if you have any further questions after the webinar, and I can answer any of your questions. Again, I know I went pretty fast for a lot of you guys. So let's move on to the next question here. So, so Hatem kind of specified here real animals. Yeah, we have tons of real animals as well. In fact, we just signed a deal with another developer to bring in a bunch more real animals. I don't know where to find them. They're in the content store. I'm not sure where you type in animals, maybe. There's an animal right there. There's a bear. I don't know, type in animal in the search field, maybe we can find something. But we do have tons of animals, like wolves, and also in the marketplace, I think Big Boss has animals. Let's try and type in like horse, for example. Yeah, so there's toon horse, all kinds of different horses. Yeah, so we do have animals. You can type in lion or whatever as well. All right, so hopefully that answers that question about real animals. We have someone named Zon, X-O-N, Shone. Forgive me if I pronounce that incorrectly. He says, can we find everything in this demo, all the assets and motions in my standard package of iClone 6 pipeline? Unfortunately, the motions that I showed you earlier, the mixed moves, those are not available with the basic version of iClone. So you will not have those motions, those transition motions. iClone does have a number of separate motions that you can apply to your characters. There's like these G5 motions, there's G6 motions. I've just downloaded so much stuff, to be honest, but I believe there's something like 800 embedded motions that you could use with iClone. So yeah, hopefully that answers that question. There's tons of stuff included. The mixed moves motions that I showed you are not included, but the tools are included, like the direct puppet and everything like that. Those are all included. As for everything else in the scene, I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that's not included. Yeah, pretty much everything in the scene, aside from the motions that the characters have, are included with the basic version of iClone. Now, in the version of this project that I'm sending you, because these two characters are from that professional outfits content pack I showed you in the Character Creator program, these ones are not free as well. You'll have to purchase these professional outfits packs as well. But the project that we're sending out to you has these characters replaced with Christian and Natalie. So these embedded characters with iClone 6. All right. So okay. So Jason specified a little bit. IBL. Jason asks about IBL, which is called image-based lighting. Before I get to that, Jason, I want to answer a more simple question here from Sean again. So where you can purchase the motions that I showed you, the mixed moves. go to Content Store. I'll see here's some of the animals that we have that I was showing you previously. Tons of stuff. Mix moves should be in the Content Store. You can even just Google, there's a Mix Moves communication pack. This is the one right here. So it includes, it looks like it's on sale right now for like 99 from 200. So with 200 motions, you're paying like 50 cents per motion, I guess. You saw the long list of motions that I had before. And all these are, really useful motions. Honestly, these are like day-to-day kind of motions that I'd really recommend picking up if you get a chance. So yeah, back to the image-based lighting that Jason was talking about. Now, if I go to my iClone scene here, and I decide to turn off all my lights, so I go to Scene and I find all my lights here and I just turn them all off. Let's do that right now. Just press this little circle button to turn off all the lights, by the way. All right, so now we only have that one single light that I added. Where is it here? Spotlight, this one. Okay, turn that off. So, not sure where the other light is coming from here. Anyway, so we have this. All right, so let's go ahead and, oh, maybe it's the, anyway, we'll figure that out later. But image-based lighting, if you go to your Visual tab, and right over here under Atmosphere, there's something called image-based lighting, which is really cool. There's a tutorial on it in the YouTube channel. If I select IBL on, what it's going to do is it's going to use this image right here to create some ambient artificial light for our scene like this. You can increase the strength or decrease the strength. So you can see there's no shadows, but it's just kind of creating an ambient light. And I can change this to something like if I select this sunset right here, it'll create more of a sunset type visual right there, or lighting scenario. All right, and so keep that in mind. You can use IBL as a base lighting for your scene, which I sometimes use. It really depends on the situation. But a situation like this, it's indoors in a kind of dark setting like that, you can also use IBL to avoid those shadows on the female's face, but I prefer just to use a little point light on the side and everything like that. Okay, back to the questions. Okay, so question about from Hatam again. Animals with real hair. Animals with real hair, unfortunately, we're a real-time program. Animals with real hair, in case you're not aware, rendering real hair, like especially animal hair, like fur, it's really complicated. And it takes up a lot of resources, so we haven't really integrated that into iClone yet. But we will possibly have that in the future, provided technology keeps going at the pace it has. We'll have some animal fur going on in the future. I mean, you can see that in like Disney and Pixar movies. It looks great, but that takes hours and hours and hours of rendering to get results like that. So a new question from Kyo: is the program restricted to game style animation? No, we actually have, there's like literally thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of animations that you can find, like I mentioned, from the Content Store or the Marketplace. You can find animations here as well. We have motion capture with the Kinect motion capture, with the Microsoft Kinect sensor, rather, motion capture with that. We have motion capture with the, what's it called again? The other, I forget what it's called. Yikes. I haven't dealt with it in such a long time. Anyways, perception neuron, that's right. Perception neuron motion capture sensor. We have motion capture with that as well. And in the near future, this may be a little interesting tidbit to you guys. In the near future, probably before the end of this year, or possibly early next year, we're having a facial mocap as well. So you'll be able to, all the stuff I just showed you with the facial puppet, you can replace that with your own face. And I believe it's going to be used with your typical webcam, although I'm not completely sure on that. But we're still working on striking a deal with some various facial mocap companies, and we will have that in the future. Okay, just a quick new question from Jason. We're going to probably try to end the webinar in a couple minutes here, so because we're a little bit over time. Jason asks, is there a reset for all settings in case you change something and for rendering? Ooh, well, there's Control Z, which is go back a step. I think you can press Control Z up to like 200 times in iClone. There's a memory of 200 changes, so that should take you back quite far for stuff. But for reset button, there's no like complete reset button. Although there is resets for animation, but that gets into a whole nother can of worms, and we're not going to open that right now. So yeah, I can't really answer that question as far as a absolute reset. We don't really have anything like that, unfortunately. So sorry for that. One final question from Robert here. He asks, can we add crazytalk animator 3D heads we've created from front and side photos into iClone characters? Now, crazytalk animator, I don't believe it saves to the RL head format yet. You can do this with crazytalk 8. You can create your 3D head in crazytalk 8, and then you can import that into iClone. And we have tutorial videos that go into detail on that. But as for crazytalk animator, I'm not totally sure. I don't think it's available yet. But we will have crazytalk animator 3 released later this year, so that will probably be a feature in crazytalk animator 3, I would imagine, because it seems like a natural progression of the software to do that. We're trying to make the RL head format universal between all of our software, which is the head of your character in crazytalk 8 and iClone, as well as character creator. So you can save out your custom head as well. All right, so I think that's about it. We're going to end the webinar now. Thanks everyone for sticking with me and asking some questions and getting involved. So again, this recording is going to be available for you guys later on via YouTube link. Make sure you fill out the survey. If you have any comments or suggestions about the webinar, fill out the survey and we'll send you a $10 coupon for the content store. So you can use $10 off on any purchase you make as a thank you for filling out that survey. And yeah, basically that's it. Again, email me, kai@reallusion.com if you have any questions. And we'll end the webinar there. So good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you guys are. And I'll see you in the next webinar.